All right, let's start writing our first test script. Now, let's go and we'll create a new file here. So all you do is right click like that and create a new file, and you can give it a name. And we're going to do a login test. That's a pretty basic test, right? For your web application, if you have to log in, we'll start with the basics, okay? So let's do a login test. And I like to use camel case, where you start with a lowercase and then you use capital, to separate out the words. That way it's more clear. And let's create login test.sci.js. This is how the file name should be. It's a JavaScript file essentially, and it's a Cypress file, right? So give it this extension. Give it .sci.js should be the standard for Cypress test files. Okay, that's the extension that should be standard for Cypress. All of your test files should have this extension. All right. So as soon as you give .js, it recognized, Visual Code recognized that it's JS, JavaScript, right? Now, this is your file where you start writing your test case. This is blank. You're starting from scratch. So what are we going to test? What login feature are we going to test? What you can do is you can use this, go to https://www.saucedemo.com, like that. So make sure you enter HTTPS, okay? Otherwise, it's going to take you to a different location, different URL. So make sure you use https://www.saucedemo.com, like this. Okay. And this is a demo website that you can use from Sauce Labs to practice your tests. And here are the accepted usernames for this application, and this is the password. So for different conditions to simulate, right? This is a standard user. If you want to test how a logged out user should behave, you can use this login. It's going to mark essentially this website is going to give you a mark of how different scenarios would look like, right? If this is a problem user, performance glitch is introduced using this user, and this is an error user and visual user. Okay, so let's use the standard user for now for our tests, and we're going to log in. So, and you can use the standard user as the username and secret sauce as the password, and then you click on login. That's how you log in. Let's try that. All right, so let's copy this. Let's paste it. Let's enter the password. Okay, so it's gonna log in like that. All right, so let's go back, start from scratch. All right, and let's log out of this. Okay, so another thing that I want to show you, okay, when you're testing web application, how do you find elements of your browser? In order for you to find these elements, so first thing that you need in your script is to locate these elements, right? So you have to locate this. And there are several locator tools that you can use to locate these elements, but I'll show you a simple way to do it. So first thing you need to do, you need to right click on your browser and select inspect. It's going to open this window for you on the right or wherever, bottom, depending on where you have dragged this window previously. So it's going to open this on your right side of the browser like that. And the tab that you are interested in for this is elements. Okay, select elements in your DevTools. This is the DevTools window. It's going to open DevTools when you right click and select inspect from the context menu like that. And make sure you're on the elements. All right. So it's going to give you the HTML code for your web page like this. And how do you locate these elements? It's very simple. So select this. This is a locator. So when you hover over that, it gives you instruction. It says select an element in the page to inspect it. Okay. So click on that. See it turn to blue. So now take your cursor like that. And when you hover over the elements, it'll give you the details of that element, right? So here it says input pound username dot input and all that. So under the accessibility, it gives you the name, role, and everything. And also on the right side, you see it is selecting or highlighting the portion of that HTML, right? So click on that element. So first select this, click on it, see it turn to blue. Now take your cursor, hover over the element that you want to locate and click on it. Okay. So it found the element in your HTML. Okay. So that's this. This is the HTML tag for that element. So this gives you the details of that element. Type is equal to text is a text box. Okay. And the ID of that element, this is important. ID is equal to user hyphen name. And name of that element is user hyphen name. Okay. And this is important. This is how you locate the elements. And this is the ID or name that you use in your script. Okay. And now how do you locate the password? Same way. Hover over this, click on it, it turned to blue. Now select the password, click on the password. It took you to that password section of that HTML code, right? And the ID is equal to password, name equal to password. This is the information that you need in order to use in your script to locate these elements and interact with that element. And how do you find out the details about login button? This is a button. Same way, click on that, click on this. And it took you straight to that section of the code. Okay, it's a button, right? It's a submit, it's a type is submit. That means when you click on it, the submit action that's happening. ID is equal to login hyphen button and name is equal to login hyphen button. All right, so we identified what the elements are, the three elements, right? Username, password, and login. And for our first test, we are going to write a test script to login. Okay. So we'll enter the username, we'll enter the password, then we'll click on login. And what is the expected result? Like if you remember writing test case for login tests, what do? You say first visit this web page, right? saucedemo.com. And then you enter the username, then you enter the password, then you click on login. And the expected results should be that it should take you to some dashboard or essentially should log you in. And what should you see right after the login? That's the expected result, right? So let's see where the login takes us to so that we can write our test script. Okay, so we'll use the standard user. We'll use this password, click login. And this should take us to this page. So you need to identify what this page is in order to verify, right? So this is displaying products page, right? Our expected result is that products page should display after login. And it should open this page, right? Inventory.html. So once you log in, it should open inventory.html and it should display products. That should be our expected result. Okay. So how do you find this if it opened? So let's do the same element locator. Hover over that. So the title should be products. So it should have the title. This page should have the title products. Okay. All right. That's what we're going to do for our first test script. Excited? Let's write our first ever test script in this course. For that, let's open back Visual Code. All right. So if you remember, we use double slashes like that for comments. Okay. So you can write whatever you want, some comments, some documentation, so you understand what this test script is about. And it's very important that you write some kind of documentation in test script. It's a best practice. That way you understand what the script does. And also if somebody else is running the script, they know what the script does. Okay, this is our first test script to automate login feature. And you can also give who created that. Like this, you can give an author. That way they know who created the script. So you can write your name under author like that. Okay. Now, if you remember in our explanation, when we showed you a sample script, the test suite started with describe block, right? So let's write. So when you start writing describe, so it gave you an option like that, right? So describe, and here, when you type like this, it'll give you the syntax. Okay, the syntax is like this: describe and open brackets like this, and first is give title, and title should be a string. Okay, the type is string. It should be a string. Strings are usually enclosed in quotes. And then you have to give a function. So you write describe block like that and open and close brackets. Okay, I'm going to show you how to write without forgetting the syntax. As soon as you write a describe block, open and close the brackets like that. And the first thing is you need to give the title of this test suite. So we're going to do source demo login, and it's of type string, right? It's enclosed in single quotes like that. Okay, source demo login, and then give a comma. All right, and here this is a function. Use open and close brackets like that. All right, now use a equal to sign and then a greater sign like that. Okay, so inside of the main open and close brackets, give the name, then give a comma, then this is the parameters of that function. Essentially, you're writing a function inside of the describe block. This is the main block, describe block. So you open the brackets of that function, give equal to greater than symbol like that. And now here you give curly braces, open and close the curly braces. This is your function. So this is your function and this is your entire describe block, and everything must go inside of these curly braces. All right. So now that you have the syntax correct for describe block, inside that curly braces, let the cursor be there and hit enter like that. Okay, this is your entire describe block. Okay, when you close this, this is your entire describe block. Let's say you made an error. Let's say there was an error like this, right? So when you deleted that closing bracket like that, see, it gave you a squiggly red line like that. So that means there's an error, right? When you hover over this, it is highlighting the previous opening bracket like that. When you hover over this or when you click on that area. So if you hover over, it's saying bracket expected right there, right? So Visual Code gives you a nice debugging this way. All right. So close that bracket. Now it fixed that error. Okay, it's all good. There's no error right now. Okay, let's say you forgot to give this. See, you see the squiggly line like that? So hover over that. So they're saying that argument expression expected. That means for a function, you need to have arguments, right? This is how you write arguments for a function. So this is an empty function right now, empty arguments. Okay. So remember this syntax. Okay. Don't worry about the details yet because this is your first ever script. Okay, you can always copy paste this. Okay, when you're starting, don't worry about how and things like that. You can always debug. So, but first understand how to write your first script, then you'll get a hang of it, then you'll have fun. You'll see the value of it. Then you're going to go learn and dig much deeper. All right. Now that you have written your describe block, remember we have to give the test cases in id block. We also had before each, remember? So you can write before each or you can include in the test script. So for simplicity, I'm not going to use before each function. I'm just going to use it and I'm going to include everything in it. It is nothing but it's a block to write your test cases. All right. So let's start with it. And again, same way, we open and close the bracket like that. And then we have to give a title, right? So the title, you can give the test case name. Okay. So we are saying, and this could be your test case description, right? The manual test case that you've written, we have seen that there's a brief description of the test case. You can include that in this. Okay. So you can say, should log in successfully with valid credentials. All right. Remember the syntax, comma and brackets like that. And then we give equal to sign and the greater symbol like that. Okay. And then we have to give the curly braces like that. And then you can enter, and this is your it block. This is the describe block. This is the it block. So in order for you, you can use, the best syntax is you can use a tab like that to separate these blocks out. So this is the block inside of the describe. All right. It gives you a nice visualization and separation between these nested blocks inside of your test script. Now, what do you do? Now, this is your test case. So first you need to visit that website, right? So the command for that is site.visit and then open and close the brackets. So this is not a block. Okay. So remember the blocks I said you need to follow this syntax like open brackets and then you need to give the title and the arguments. Here it's empty but equal to greater symbol and then curly braces like that to describe your block and your function within the block. Site.visit is not a block in itself, it's just a command, Cypress command. So all you need is a open and close bracket like that. Okay. So for this command, visit command, if you hover over that, so it takes a URL as a parameter. Okay. So you have to give the URL name. And that you can get it from your website, right? So this is the main URL. Okay, copy, paste that. This is the main URL. You're going to visit that. And you have to end every command with a semicolon like that. Okay. And you can also give comments, what you're doing there, right? You can say, visit the source demo login page, right? That way you know what that command is doing, right? Next time you can just copy paste this. This is visiting this web page, login page. Okay. So now once you're on, let's exit out. Let's log out from this. So you know what we're doing. So you're here, right? You just visited. This is your first command, site.visit. This URL is going to take you to this web page, this one. Now you have to enter your username and password and login. So what we said is you need to locate that element first. So we need to locate username, then we need to locate password and click on login. And we saw how to locate those elements. If you forgot, click on this, hover over, click on this, and it'll give you the ID of that element. Okay, we're going to use this information. Now come back to this, and the command to interact or find that element on the web page is site.get. Okay, so once you start typing, it'll give you options what you can use, right? I want this method. So you can also select that. Okay, get. Now I have to locate that element, and I found that the name or the ID is user-name. All right. For that, I'm going to use something like this. I'm going to put that in quotes, single quotes, and I'll start with hashtag user-name. Okay. You see this user-name, and the syntax to locate that is hashtag like this and username. Okay. This is how you give the ID of that element. Now, site.get will locate this element. Now, once it located that element, what do you want Cypress to do with it? You can mention that in the next part using the dot. So these are all the actions that you can do on that element once you locate it. So here we want to type something into the username. We want to type the username into that username field. So I'm going to say type. Okay. And in the brackets, I'm going to give the text that I want to type. Here, I want to use this username, right? Standard_user. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to send this text to this element. Okay, that's what this whole command does. And I'm going to finish this by semicolon. What it does, it'll enter this standard username in that field. All right. Now I have to do the same thing for password. What I can do is I can just copy like this if I don't want to write again. Let's locate it. It's the password is the name. Instead of username, I'm going to give password. And then I'm going to type this password, secret sauce, as my password. I'm going to replace that. So for the comment, I'm going to update it. I hope you're following along with me. Okay. If not, you can finish watching this and then you can come back and rewatch and then slowly follow the instructions, along with it, because it's going to help you tremendously. All right. Now we have covered username and password. Now we have to locate the login. The name or the ID is login-button. Okay, what you can do is double click on that. You can also copy like this if you don't want to type. Okay, double click, select this whole thing. All right, right click and copy. Okay, now come back. So we want to get the login button, and that's hashtag login button. All right. Once you locate that login button, what action do you want to take on it? Right. So we want to click on that button, right? It's pretty intuitive that way. You can use click. That's all it does. So you can use function click like that. And this does what it does is it clicks login button. It clicks the login button. All right. Now, this is all good, right? So we entered the username and password, and let's do that. Okay. Let's enter the username. Enter the password. Click on login. This keeps popping up, but don't worry about it. This is just, Chrome being annoying. So if this comes up for you, just close it. All right. So what we are expecting now after login is that this inventory page should open and it should display the products. Okay. So what we can do is we can check whether the URL is inventory.html and whether we can check if it opened this page. For that, we're going to highlight the products and see that it's titles, right? It's products page. So that's what our expected result are. So let's copy this so we know what to look for. Go back to our script. And now this is where our verification steps comes, right? Verification. So we have to verify that the user is redirected to the inventory page. Okay, for that, what is the command? Sci dot. It always starts with sci dot. Okay, sci dot. Now we have to verify the URL, right? So URL is get the URL. So we have to get the URL, sci dot URL. So it's going to get the URL, what URL is displayed. So now what do you want to do with it? So here is a verification step. This URL should contain, so should is another function that you can use. And the syntax goes like this. The first one is what should that URL have? Like it should include, right? So should takes in a couple of variations as arguments. You can verify a partial string or you can verify the entire string, okay, of the URL. So if you use include, so it is going to include, it's going to check everything. So, right, it's include. So should has few options, few variations. So include, that means it should include that string that you're going to mention in the, after this, that this URL should include that string, right? So it should include this. So you don't have to give the entire, right? Entire one. But if you just want to see relative path, tomorrow if this change anything in the URL, you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is worry about the relative URL like this. You can say it should include inventory.html in your URL. Okay, close this by semicolon. And then what should it do? We said it should display the products, right? So the title is products, like that. All right, so let's get the URL, or let's get the title actually on the page. Get, right? What we are getting the dot title. So remember, for element, we used hashtag the element name. Here for class, we are using dot title. So if it's ID or, text, we can use hashtag. And for class, we are using dot title. And we're going to look at the syntax in a bit, like how to pick what to use, right? Dot title or hashtag title, what to use. But remember, for class, you have to identify it as dot title. Okay, dot is the way. And for the elements, if it's ID inside the elements, right? So you can use hashtag like this. And we're going to describe this more right now. Don't worry about it. I don't want to confuse you. But for class, use dot title like that. Okay. And this should, okay. So should, just like this. Now it should, you're verifying that, right? So we want to see that it contains products. Okay. Right here, products. It should be an exact match. And then close this statement. What this does, it verifies the products page title. All right. And that's about it. That's your script. And let's close this also with a semicolon. And let's close this also with a semicolon. Okay. So end of this block. So you see this line, the vertical line. So this vertical line shows this block, start and end. And this vertical line shows start and end for this block. All right. So pretty neat. Visual Code Editor is pretty neat. You can download, use it, and write your first script like this. And now we're going to execute this script. So just to go over this briefly, so these are the different commands that we used. All these are Cy commands. So visit command opens the source demo login page. Okay. And get command locates the username field by its ID, and and it types the username, right? Like this, it types the username. And same for the password. Okay, Cypress finds the password field like this. It finds the password field and then it types the password like that. Okay, and this one, it locates the button, the login button, and then it clicks on it. And this cy.url, after you log in, Cypress verifies that the user is redirected to the products page by checking the URL. All right. So it checks the URL. And then finally, Cypress verifies that the page title is products, confirming that the login was successful.